Stocks and the euro fall as fears grow that Spain is heading for a full-scale bailout. Safe haven flows sending the 10-year US Treasury yield to record lows in Asia. And arrests imminent as the Libor scandal spreads. US prosecutors and European regulators said to be close to detaining individual traders and charging them with colluding to manipulate global benchmark rates. Let's get straight to Alpesh Patel, founder of Prafinium Partners. Morning to you, Alpesh. Possible criminal charges for individuals. Are we any closer to a resolution here?
Well, those criminal charges and the trial thereafter would take some time, I would expect, and I think it's going to come as a shock to quite a few people who thought they were just simply negotiating hard. But when it comes to price fixing, anything to do with collusion or conspiracy is a criminal offence across the board, whether it's something as complicated as Libor or whether it is just a chain of supermarkets.
All right. In the markets, are we gearing up now for a full-blown bailout for Spain?
It's certainly starting to look that way. More importantly, it looks like the market is beginning to believe that, and that's what's going to be the major drag downwards. As I've said before, anytime we see any strength in the markets, we've got ample excuse and reasons to sell into that strength. And of course, once we start focusing on Spain, then the stories will start hitting the news wires about the next target, as we always tend to do. So you're really looking at the downside more than the upside, and continued volatility at best is volatility, but the more likely scenario is just selling into any degree of strength. And
on the economic front, I guess PMI's manufacturing numbers are going to dominate this week?
Yeah, absolutely, and we're going to look for any kind of reason to be positive, but I suspect what's going to happen is that even anything positive there will be short-lived. You might see a small blip up on the relative indices before the negative news, which is stronger and more constant, drip, starts moving things lower again.
All right, Alpesh, thanks a lot.
Pleasure.
The heaviest rainstorm in more than 60 years has been causing chaos in Beijing. Apparently it's headed to Hong Kong now. Here's Reuters' Lisa Yuriko Thomas in Hong Kong. Lisa, how bad is the disruption and how close is this storm?
Well, it's very bad, Axel. It's typhoon season out here in Asia, and Beijing getting hit with this devastating rainstorm over the weekend. At least 37 people died. Major roads were flooded. Subways were swamped, and some 80,000 people were stranded at the city's main airport, where 500 flights were canceled. The government had issued a warning the day before, but many residents took to the microblogs to complain about the city's lack of preparedness. And even out here in Hong Kong, Axel, we're bracing for a typhoon, which is expected to hit and escalate later this evening.
Are you seeing rain? Are you feeling winds already there?
Yeah, unlike the backdrop we have here, we are seeing some rain, but it's expected to get worse.
All right, the battle for control of Tiger Beer, let's just quickly talk about that. It seems to be hotting up as Heineken raises the stakes, right?
Right, investors liking Heineken's up to $6 billion bid to take over the Singapore maker of Tiger Beer. Shares of Asia-Pacific breweries jumping 17% today and nearly matching Heineken's offer for the firm. Still uncertain whether the deal will actually go through or whether counter offers will emerge. Also want to point your attention to corporate news. India's Reliance Communications, the country's #2 mobile phone carrier, has scrapped plans for a $1 billion IPO in Singapore for one of its units. They cite weak market conditions. It's a big blow to the company, but also to Southeast Asia, which had been one of the bright spots in the current global downturn for offerings.
Okay.
Axel?
All right, Lisa, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Other world news on Reuters this morning. Syrian troops have driven rebel fighters out of 2 Damascus neighborhoods a week after the insurgents launched their drive on the capital. Security forces seized the area of Messeh on Sunday. Activist sources say the troops killed at least 20 unarmed men suspected of aiding rebels. With the second quarter earnings season in full flow, it's an extremely busy week for corporate numbers. Today's highlights include Coca-Cola, McDonald's, Hasbro, and here in Europe, Domino's Pizza and Eurotunnel. In just a few moments, I'll also talk to the boss of Philips Electronics. Later in the week, we'll get numbers from Apple, Boeing, and Amazon. On this day in history, in 1974, jubilant crowds took to the streets of Athens to celebrate the end of 7 years of military rule in Greece. A junta led by 2 colonels and a brigadier had seized power in 1967. The former Prime Minister, Konstantin Karamanlis, was invited to return from exile in Paris. That is it for now. We end with a picture to warm the hearts of cyclists everywhere. Britain's Bradley Wiggins makes a victory run down the Champs-Élysées in Paris with his 7-year-old son Ben after winning the 99th Tour de France. His Sky teammate Chris Froome was second. Mark Cavendish chalked up a record 23rd stage win. That's it. I'm Axel Threlfall. This is Reuters.